today I'm here with another medical staff who has been coming for years to serve at KAA. I met her when I was serving as a helper. She was a nurse in 2018. And so we served again together last year, and I love her. She's a great nurse. And so Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you love, how you got involved with KAA.
Okay, well, first off, I'll just tell you, my name is Kelly Rowland, and I'm not related to the Kelly Rowland. She's younger than me, but she was named after me, and that actually is her nickname. But anyway, everybody says, "Oh, you're Kelly Rowland," and I say, "Yeah, I am." But anyway, I've been a nurse since 1985. So I graduated from a little community college here close to me where I live in Paducah, Kentucky. You've heard of Paducah. We live in Western Kentucky, about 30 miles south of Paducah, and I work in Paducah, and I've worked there for 32 years. So we mostly, what I do in the summer and is camp, and then I do, we camp. We have a camper, and we're going this weekend to camp, and I like to do crafts, and I have two children, a 31-year-old and a 29-year-old. And they were both very active at Kanakuk. And my son went for 7 years and my daughter went for 9. And Dave came to Kanakuk and would talk about the baseball program. And so we have several baseballs on our shelf because we were led, and we just kind of were led to KAA because of this program, where you wrote your name and address on a baseball, and then you sponsor a child through the baseball program. So it's kind of neat. And so we were introduced to it at Kanakuk, and my husband and I, we were looking back at calendars to see, because I have a whole stack of calendars.
Oh, wow.
Like when this happened. And I think it was 2011. Oh, my husband, maybe 12. No, it was 2012. We volunteered at KAA in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't do nursing, but we were there for like 3 days, and we made about 500 grilled cheese sandwiches. And that's like spreading the butter on both slices of bread, putting the cheese.
Oh my gosh.
So those kitchies, I mean, oh man, I admire them and the jobs they do. It's unbelievable what they do there at camp and how much food they prepare.
You were there, but you flew under the radar. No one knew you were a nurse then.
No. But I watched all the nurses, because we would be there like for dinner, all the meals, and I would watch, and see what, and my husband said, you need to do that. And the whole time my kids were at Kanakuk, I could have done it and they could have gone to camp, but we didn't.
You didn't know.
I don't know. I just didn't feel led to do it then,
Okay.
So anyway, after we did the kitchen, I got in touch with the volunteer, and man, I was scared to death.
Were you?
Yeah, I've worked ER years ago, back in the 90s, and this was like 2013. I was going to volunteer to be camp nurse, and I've never done it, but I worked in the unit. I've worked there too, so I've got a lot of experiences, and in different healthcare areas, but as far as KAA, it's totally, it's almost like a little emergency clinic where you can share the gospel, and, and students come in, or the patients come in, and they have all these things wrong with them. But then you get to talking about what their favorite songs are and their favorite verses and where they're from, and, what they like to do. I like to talk to them.
Yeah.
To relax them, because usually it's something like traumatic that's happened, if they've jammed their finger or twisted their ankle or something. They're nervous and scared, and so we just kind of chat about where they're from, who they like to play with, what they like to do, and kind of break the ice and get them going. And
Well, I
they
can
tend
tell
to
you,
like to come to the nurses station because we have air conditioner and we have the best water in camp.
that's
That's what
right,
they tell us.
right. The best water in camp.
But it's just water right out of the faucet with ice from the ice machine.
That's
I
right.
mean, so it's not anything special, but
No,
I
it's
just tell them it's holy water.
That's right. That's a good way to put it. And I'm gonna tell you, and I've watched you with those campers. You do really good. You do relax them. You talk to them and have them laughing. You do really good with them.
Well, I enjoy it. I think I get much more out of it than, than just taking care of them, putting a Band-Aid on somebody. I'd rather get to know, who they are and what they are. And we have some people come like with chronic illnesses, like little girls with diabetes. I had a little girl that had to test her sugar with every meal and give her a shot and, based on what her sugar was. And, that's kind of scary, when your child's off somewhere and like, is somebody going to take care of this,
Right.
It's just, I don't know. I just love them like my own. That's,
You do, yeah. So it's so good to have nurses like you who care for them like they're your own.
Yeah,
So,
but I am sad because I'm going to miss it. This would have been my 8th year of serving as a nurse because,
yeah,
it would be like 9 years because we were in the kitchen. But
yeah.
and I love going on the boat rides and, they always take us on a boat ride and get
It's
ice
always
cream
fun.
or pizza or something. And that's always fun too. And swimming at the
Yeah.
page tour. But I think one of the greatest things that has inspired me, I know that's not one of your questions, but
It's okay.
I could talk about it forever, but one of
I
the
got
things that inspired me is watching the Caleos
Mm,
because I feel like, okay, we have them for 1 week, they have them for 51 weeks,
yeah, that's
and
right.
I just can't imagine the ministry and some of the heartaches that they see with these families and these kids and especially nowadays with all the world the way it is. And I just really admire them. They take a week out of their summer and off of their job,
Mhm.
plus they take the rest of the year too and work with these kids. And
Yeah,
some of them aren't easy to work with. They're
that's
just a
true.
lot of fun.
It's a calling for sure,
It
but I
is.
but and I'll speak from a Kaleo's perspective. Man, coming to camp for a week is a joy, because the Kaleos have their own little experience. So yeah, but I understand what you're saying. They're having to
Yeah.
do all these things with 50.
Well, for them to be able to connect with each other and know, hey, I'm not by myself, and they're all like going through some of the same things with these kids, broken homes. And,
Huge. Yeah.
one time we had a little girl from Detroit, and she had seen someone shot.
Oh wow.
And it was just terrible. I mean, she was having like really bad anxiety and just hyperventilating and, just the fear, you can't imagine that because I live in a rural small town, that, I'm just not, when we first got married, I moved to Houston and I worked in the medical center in Houston. And, I have seen a lot of things, working there, but that was a long time ago, I was 20 years old, so,
Well,
it's been a long time.
not so long ago.
Yeah, been a while ago, before kids even.
Before kids, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
wow. What's something that has been a challenge for you as you have served at KAA over those 8 years?
The challenge.
Yeah.
I have to think about that one. I didn't write that. Let's see. Oh, I did kind of, like I just said, about being from a small rural area and trying to connect with urban youth is, I was brought up here and I've lived here almost all my life except for that little part-time in Houston. But I think just relating to those problems that they have in the big cities
Yeah.
is has been that's been kind of a challenge for
It's
me.
a challenge. But but your heart for kids, your heart for people, just the heart that God gave you, I've seen you connect with them. I'm telling you, I have, and it's probably like you said, you just try to get to know them, and so that definitely comes through. I would have never known that was a challenge for you.
Yeah. Oh, we're good.
I
We're
would have
good.
never known
Yeah,
that.
I feel like we have like this much time with them.
Yeah,
And then they're off, and some of them come back, they come back to see us,
for
and some
sure.
of them come back the next year. I've seen some that I've seen the first few years I was there, and they'll come back and, they're in higher ground, or they're counselors, or they'll come back and say,
Yeah,
you remember me? I'm like, oh
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I do. I mean, I'm really bad with names, so,
You remember
but
the face.
some of them I do remember their names, but,
Yeah. And so, before I started recording, you were telling me about it's some friends. It sounds like you made some lifelong friends at KAA.
I have. I don't bring anybody with me. I have tried to get people, nurses and people that I know to come, and I've tried to, tell them about it. It's hard you really almost have to experience and have to like maybe see a video or something
Yeah.
that would connect them or something. But yeah, I've made some really good friends. My husband, the first few years, he would come with me and like do some maintenance around the camp.
Okay.
And I mean, he would have a blast. He'd play basketball or just do all
Fun.
kinds of stuff around camp, and just whatever they needed done, painting or cleaning
Yeah.
up stuff or
Yeah.
hanging clotheslines. He did that one year. And so that was fun for him to get to interact too. But I don't know where I was going. Well, yeah, some of the friends that I've made, and they're all over the country. It's like I have a friend that she was from Branson, and she was a nursing student. Her name's Renee. I don't know if you ever met Renee. She was one of the students that were there, and I think she had one more semester to go, and she has since moved to Florida, but we talk quite a bit online. And when she comes back to Branson, because she comes sometimes, to see her friends and her son, he lives in Branson. She'll come through Paducah, and we always meet and we have dinner. And so she usually brings her parents, and so we have a good time, have a meal, and sometimes Chris gets to go with me. But when she lived in Branson, we would always meet in Branson every time I came to camp, after we met. And then one time she came to camp and she rides a motorcycle.
Oh, wow.
And so I got on the motorcycle and we rode around camp, We had so much fun because they're like, who's that lady coming with a motorcycle, up to camp? She pulled right up to the health center, and on KA2.
Well,
And I hope she watches this because I love Renee. And I mean, I hope that I've helped her in her nursing career, because she was going to be potential to be like really good nurse.
That is really cool. That's really cool.
So she's a fun one we've had. And then, I mean, there's just all kinds of friends that I've made. I think I was trying to think. I've had maybe 4 different directors in the 7 or 8 years that we've done this. I think this is your 2nd year.
Yes.
And Dawn was 2 years, I think. And then
Haley.
And Haley came back like last year, I think, or a year before, and worked a couple of days.
She came back and helped me out the first week last summer too.
Did she?
Yeah, because
I love Haley.
Yeah, I had already agreed to do PRN at the hospital that first week of camp, and I was like, I need some help. And Haley graciously came and helped. So yeah, she's good.
And I can't remember the lady's name that was there that first year, but Miss Betty Jenke's always been there when I've been there. And so for her to be retired, you know, because she told us that like probably 5 years. I've been going 5 years, and she'd say, I'm gonna retire this year, and I'm like, and she didn't, and then she'd come back, and then she didn't retire the next year, and she didn't, you know, but
It's
maybe
hard.
I don't know. Was she? I don't think was she
She
there
came.
last?
She came and served 1 week. She came and helped staff training week, uncle's week, and staff training week. And then she came back the very last week.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I missed her.
it's hard. It's hard for her to let it go because she said KAA is home to her.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can, I mean, you can tell it. Like,
yeah, she
just,
loves it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the doctors, she's a nurse practitioner that I met last year, and her daughter, she was there last year. Katrina, we are meeting her the end of this month, and we're going to go to Silver Dollar City and do some running around and stuff. So for the whole weekend, the first weekend that we're there.
That's really cool. So you come to camp and serve and make these friends that you keep forever.
I do. And you know, a lot of times they come back and they'll text me, what week are you going?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. I was the same way as a helper. So yeah, you do make lifelong friends there as you're serving. And I think when you serve the Lord together with someone, there's a heart connection.
There is. Well, and when you experience the things like crosstalk or, you know, a child coming and being saved and ringing the bell. And I mean, when you see all those, and I mean, I'm talking about it now and I'm getting chills, and I'm like, oh, I just want to be there so bad.
Right. You
so
know,
I
love Dr. Tony Evans, and one thing he said about, you know, the racial unrest that's going on in our country right now. And the one thing he said that I love, he said, get someone who doesn't look like you and serve with them. He said, it's more than talking, it's more than a seminar, but when you begin to serve with someone together, then there's a heart connection as you get to know one another. You build a relationship better in service. And I can agree with that. You know, people that I serve with, I know them better. Yeah.
Well, Renee she's the motorcycle, and that wouldn't be me at all. But and she's a white woman, so I mean, it didn't matter to me. I'm like, yeah, let's get on this motorcycle. I wouldn't have cared, but yeah, it's this season. What we're going through is it's breaking my heart.
And crazy.
I just, I hope the kids that I've helped can look back and go, wow, you know, I mean, there are other races and other people that love us.
Right.
Because I just think it's just going to have to be God that does it. I mean, there's nothing, we got to get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think God is calling his people, the church, to step up and live. You know, he tore down the wall of hostility, and his body of believers, the church, we have to live that in reality. And I think that can only happen in genuine relationships. And so I appreciate getting to know you and serve with you these 2 or 3 years. And, you know, like even when we were at camp together, we were sharing about praying for our daughters, and I got to know you a little better. You shared about your daughter. You got to know me a little better, sharing about my daughter. And then even months later, not at camp, you know, I text you and you text me. And so that was good, you know. And so I think this issue that we're having, it's going to come from real genuine.
You're making me kind of want to go through my phone list and like connect with these people, because I need to. I mean, like Sharina and, you know, different ones we connect sometimes on Facebook, but you know, because this coronavirus it's a bad thing too, and it's affecting a lot of people. There's no way to know who's going to get it and who's not, and you know.
And if you have it, if you're going to be symptomatic or asymptomatic, I know it's a hard thing. Kelly, thank you so much for serving at KAA, and we look forward to you coming back year after year after year and make those connections with those campers. So thank you.
I can't wait.